Morning, everybody. It's 8:48 on this Monday morning, the 16th, and this is your pre-opening comment. It is video number 1944. Okay, Asia and Europe both lower. Japan down 2%. That's a pretty hefty hit. We had one piece of economic news this morning. That was the Empire State Manufacturing Index. It showed a decline of 4.6%, but expectations were for a decline of 6%. As far as the stock futures, we've been gaining a bit of strength since the 7 o'clock hour. When I started watching it, by 7:30, we were up 160 in the Dow, 28 in the Nasdaq, and 15 in the S&P. At 8:32, which was right after that Empire State, we were up 150 in the Dow, up 24, so a little bit of weakness in the Nasdaq, and up 14 in the S&P. We did drift a little bit lower because interest rates, and I'll get to that, have moved higher. As of right now, Dow is up 184, the S&P is up 19, and we're up 41 in the Nasdaq. Okay, so those numbers came out, and actually the bonds have improved a bit at the long end. They were down as much as a point and a quarter. They bounced back up a little, but they're still down 24, 30 seconds. Which is 3/4 of a point. We did have this little crossover. We had a great trade, got in here and out in this area last week in the TLTs, which was a 270% gain. We went from very oversold to not quite overbought, but running into trouble here at this 114 area, 114 and a half, and now we're back to 112. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. As far as the rest of the futures, the oil was down overnight, now is back to the upside, up 40 cents, 86.75. It was literally $1.10 lower than that, so it was down 70 cents. Heating oil up 2 cents, gasoline up a penny and a half. And down about 7 cents in the nat gas. The gold was down pretty hard, actually, after last week's huge move. We got down as low as 1921. Last is 1932. So we were down about $20. Now we're down less than 10. Silver down 16 cents. Copper is up a little on that economic activity. Dollar index is up because yields are up. Bitcoin, though, is up 1,115. If you look at my comments in last night's letter, you'll see I'm still very bullish. It still looks to me like there's more upside in Bitcoin, possibly to that 30, 31,000. If we break out there, no clue. As far as corporate news, Rite Aid, the great destroyer of equity, files for Chapter 11. You can be sure there'll be people trading it. 61 cents. It had a 1 for 20 reverse, and so that gives it a recent adjusted high of 190 and a low of 38 cents. If you take it back a little, it actually has an adjusted high of 1,000 or 1,100. So it's only down 99.98%. Pfizer, in one of the sleaziest moves ever, waited until after the close on Friday to tell everyone that they were reassessing their projections going forward, all of it, of course, to the downside. The stock has made the complete round trip pre-COVID to where we are now. I guess the high on the Pfizer in the recent past, which I would call the last couple of weeks, had a high of 34 and change. It's 32.40 right now. It's actually up on the day 30 cents, but it actually was down as low as uh, 29.33 on Friday in the extended hours when I guess they thought nobody would be looking. Biontix, BNTX, their partner, is taking almost $1 billion write down um, on their partnership uh, going forward. That one last week was as high as 112 and a half, as low this morning as 95.10. Last is 98.61. That's down about $5 or about 5%. And Chuck Schwab, miss on revenue, beat on earnings. An unlikely scenario, considering the stock is only down about 40% on the year. Um, Last trade 51.14. That's down just 19 cents or 0.35. Lululemon going into the S&P 500 on Wednesday. This is an interesting one because in the last 10 days or so, the stock has gone from 354 to 377. This morning on the gap to the upside, got as high as 402. Last is 400, and that is up about $22 on that move. And here's an interesting little one. Aldera, symbol ALDX, Aldera Therapeutics. There is no news that I can find this morning, but when I go to Briefing and MarketWire, what I get is literally pages of law firms asking if you want to be part of their class action suit. So, as usual, the vultures are there, but there's no information. That little one also has had a pretty ugly decline of late. But let's see. In June, it went from 12. In a week, it went from 12 to 5.5, closed around 7 that week, has spent the last 5 months going sideways, and in the last 2.5 weeks has broken down from 674, currently trading $1.44, and that is down $4 on the day, or 74%. So there you go. Last on the Dow is now up 206. S&P is up 24. Excuse me. And the NASDAQ is still up about 52. So we'll have to see how this shakes out. But I'm going to guess, unless rates start to come back in, reality will set back in, and people will remember that we now have two wars. One of which is truly explosive, and one of which just keeps grinding on, and that interest rates are up, and we still have a huge deficit, and participation in these wars is incredibly expensive. Remember, war is always inflationary. Everything that you use in war is single use. So you use it, it's gone, it has to be replaced. There's not a lot of price flexibility when it comes to armaments. So, all right, folks, I'll be back later on. Be careful out there.